and welcome to the Tourism Chat Show. I'm Michelle Caldwell, the host of the show, and it is my pleasure to bring you another fantastic episode celebrating women in tourism. Now, before we get going, don't forget we have that fabulous competition running at the moment in conjunction with Grow Tourism and Powrsuit. So we have 2 seats for the Women in Tourism Accelerator program to give away exclusively on this show. We launched it last week with Alex from Grow Tourism and Natalie and Kristen from Powrsuit. And if you haven't listened to that episode yet, I urge you to please go back and have a listen. It is one of my favourite episodes that we've done to date. And that will tell you how you can enter. And it's really easy. It involves going to Instagram and making a little comment, and that's about it. Now, these packages are worth $499 each at the moment. And don't forget, for this month, there is an early bird special on for $399 per person. So look, it's a great deal, but get yourself into the draw as well to see if you can win that with 3 months of membership to Powrsuit at the same time. Right, so listeners, today we've got an absolute powerhouse in the tourism industry joining us. Kylie Ruwhiu-Karawana, who is the Managing Director of TRC Tourism, is with us. And Kylie's journey has been one of those epic stories. It's taken her from Aotearoa to Japan and back, with a few detours through chocolate factories and boardrooms along the way. From her early days at Tourism New Zealand, learning from some of the industry's greats, to leading her own tourism business and now heading up TRC Tourism, Kylie's passion for Aotearoa and its people shines through everything she does. Whether it's helping Māori communities unlock their tourism potential or guiding destinations towards sustainable growth, she's done it all, with a little bit of chocolate on the side. So grab a cuppa, get comfy, and join us as we dive into Kylie's story, from navigating multinational corporations to mastering the art of self-leadership and everything in between. We'll see you again next week. Enjoy the episode. Ka kite. Kia ora, Kylie, and welcome to the Tourism Chat Show.
Kia ora, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Now, let's get straight into this. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming Managing Director of TRC Tourism, and what were some of the pivotal moments that shaped your career?
I think I was fairly lucky with the start of my career, because I came back from Japan after finishing my degree at Otago. Worked for 3 years in Japan on the Japan exchange teaching program, came back and got the inaugural Māori tourism graduate role at Tourism New Zealand. So I was able to learn everything about tourism at the feet of people like George Picton, David Wilkes, Tim Hunter, and people who have been my mentors forever and still continue to be so. I mean, I was with Tourism New Zealand for 10 years. When I left there, I had a good grounding in trade marketing and trade development, and then a really good grounding with Māori development, having transitioned from the operations team to the tourism development team, and kind of cemented my passion for tourism. I've always been passionate about Aotearoa. And I think when you move away like I did at 23, having spent 6 years at university, no clue, no clue what I wanted to do. I went overseas, I just got this deeper appreciation for our country, and I started to think, there's so much to do here. Why do people leave? You know, why did I leave? And so when I came back and I got those roles with Tourism New Zealand, I found my niche, I guess. I found where I wanted to be, which was to work in the tourism sector, work with destinations, communities in Māori iwi, for them to unlock their potential in tourism. But then, as things tend to do, life gets in the way, and I needed to come home because my dad got sick. So I sold my soul to work for a multinational, which I did for 8 years. Which was Mondelez International, working here in Dunedin as the senior commercial manager. So I managed Cadbury World, Cadbury Carnival, the CSR, donations and national support kind of consumer relations team. And I did that for 8 years, and I didn't stay with them because I had a love and a passion for chocolate. Well, trust me, I have a love and a passion for chocolate.
So you say what?
Yes, no, that was a faux pas. Everyone I know has just turned and looked at me sideways. No, it was more that it was the people that I was working with. I had 100 and something staff, and it was the groups of people that I managed and the work that we did I found really rewarding. But the organisation itself and I didn't necessarily have the same value system, shall we say. So I stayed there for 8 years, and when I left, I wanted to do something to give back, to untarnish the soul slightly. And that's when I was lucky enough to start our own business. So my husband and I own and operate a Māori tourism business here in Aotearoa, Dunedin, called Horizon Tours. So I still tour guide, I still run tours. I was out last night.
No.
And then in 2019, a colleague of mine who's been a friend and a colleague for many years now, Tracy Johnson, she posted this thing on Facebook and said, who wants to come and work with me at TRC? And I thought, you know what? I do. So I started with TRC in 2019, just before COVID. And when our tourism business kind of tanked, because, pretty much we got cut off at the net.
It did, yep.
The consulting picked up. So I suddenly found another niche and realized that my career pathway that I had chosen, by hook or by crook, had actually set me up to be a pretty good consultant, because I'd managed events, I'd run commercial businesses, I'd talked about quadrupled bottom lines, I'd worked within an FMCG market, so I know about health and safety. It was all these things that just kind of all added up, suddenly made me with this multi-pronged approach to consulting, which I really enjoyed doing, to the point where I was given the opportunity to buy into the business 2 years ago, and I jumped at it. So I've been the managing director now for just over a year and a bit.
Yeah, awesome. So TRC Tourism's known for its focus on tourism, recreation and conservation. How did you develop your expertise in these areas, and what do you find the most rewarding about that work?
I think, to tourism, even though it's, tourism, recreation and conservation, it's kind of a tagline that's been around for a while. We all have been in this industry for a long time. We'll remember that it used to be tourism research consulting. I mean, it's had different kind of evolutions through its past. But I wouldn't necessarily say that our core focus now sits just around those three things. I think we do a lot in the trail space, which obviously brings the recreation piece through. We do evolve that through tourism. What type of services and opportunities can be created around that trail space? Yeah. We do a lot in the Indigenous space here in Australia, New Zealand, across the South Pacific. Not so much Indigenous, but very much cultural tourism. We're starting to do a little bit of work, even beyond that in the Indigenous space. Strategic planning, destination management planning. I love, I developed destination management plans with a really strong destination stewardship focus. So looking at the social, cultural, environmental, and economic benefits that it can bring, which I absolutely adore. And then we absolutely are really strong in the sustainable space, and that's what I'm heading to Tonga today to do, is to run a workshop on sustainable and regenerative tourism. So there's a whole pile of work that we do that is kind of wrapped up in that little tagline there of tourism, recreation and conservation, but with so much more in the account. And we've got a team of 18 passionate experts across Australia and New Zealand, and we get to help communities all the time.
Yeah, brilliant. And looking back, what was the most unexpected opportunity or challenge that significantly impacted your career direction?
Other than the illness of my father, I would probably have to say the closure of the Cadbury factory here in Dunedin, because that was probably one of the worst times in my career, having to manage so many staff out, and the uncertainty for staff. Although I had already come to the conclusion that we were parting ways anyway, in my own, having to take families and people that I had come to know and respect over the years through that process was probably the hugest turning point for me. And I realized that I didn't want to work for multinationals. I didn't want to see the millions of dollars I was creating head offshore and not benefit the people that was working so hard to earn that dollar for that company. So I wanted to make sure that everything that we did going on from there had a give back. So with our tourism business, we plant native trees, or I go in and talk to schools about matariki, or we give free tours away for sports trips for kids, that need a ticket to save money to go somewhere. I don't know what it might be, but we have to have this really strong community give back, environmentally, socially, culturally. Something has to come back.
Nice. And in an industry that can be both rewarding and demanding, what strategies do you use to maintain your passion and resilience?
I think my strategies is never. I'm a people person. You can't be in this industry and not be a people person. And what I really love doing and everything that I do is meeting with people. And I've had so many clients over the years tell me, especially in this town. So, I feel like, you speak with such passion about this destination. It's like you want to live here, you want to come and be here. And I do. So many different places. I was going to start a Horizon tour as Kapiti Coast, a Horizon tour as Tairāwhiti, a Horizon tour as Mount Isa, which is in Queensland.
Global domination.
Exactly. Take over the world. Don't start little. You've got to go hard. But I think for me, it was just that ability to meet people, build that rapport, really understand what they want, and then help them to achieve their aspirations. Whether those aspirations are buying a house or better education for their kids, transference of knowledge from a cultural perspective. I want to be able to, grow my own business and be in charge of my own economic pathway. Whatever it might be, tourism can be a mechanism to do that, and that's what I absolutely adored. Kind of being involved in is being able to help people kind of forge that pathway forward. I answer that question. I think I may have gone off.
Yeah, no, it was great. And have you ever experienced imposter syndrome?
Sometimes, probably when I first started at Woodbridge, because when I applied for the role and I got the role and I moved down here, I thought it was a marketing manager role. Didn't realise I was going to be managing that.
Oh.
So I came down with an idea of what I wanted to do to market every word, to be told you've got 80-something staff and, here's your office. There was nothing in it, not even a desk or a chair, Michelle. There was literally just an empty room.
Wow.
I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. So that was probably the only time in my career that I have felt a little bit out of my depth in terms of saying, this isn't quite what I thought I was signing up for. And now that I'm here and I don't report to anyone on this site and I've got all this stuff and actually no leadership or management around me, it's going to provide me some challenges in the beginning. So I'd say that would probably be the biggest example.
Yeah, wow, that's a pretty huge one, isn't it? And how did you navigate through that? That's quite a big change from your expectations.
I am a big supporter of the term fake it till you make it. No, I think there were a few of us that were in that kind of key leadership team that were in that same boat because it was quite toxic, the environment we were getting into. So we spent a lot of time cleaning house, sorting some things out. So I think we were able to start from scratch because things were tenuous at that time through no one's fault. It was just things that happened. The farm issue had happened. There'd been so much going on, changes at the factory. Mondelez had stepped in, or Kraft Foods at the time. So there was just so much uncertainty. So there wasn't anyone, you couldn't pinpoint it to say it was one person's fault or because of one single factor. It was a perfect storm of things that just created an environment that wasn't healthy for anyone, I don't think.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So that would probably be it.
Yeah. Must have been a massive learning curve for all of you in that situation.
There was a lot of wine consumed in my office.
Wine and chocolate.
Of course. They go so well together, a little bit of Riesling, dark chocolate.
What's the most valuable leadership lesson that you've learned throughout your career?
Let me give you three. I think there's three that came to me from the three managers I've had in the past. And the first one was George Victor, who always taught you to be as genuine as you can and to take your team on that journey. It didn't matter if we were the marketing manager, the Māori development manager, or the receptionist at the desk. We knew what our role was. We knew what our goal was. We knew what our objectives were, and we were all on that same waka, facing the same way, rowing it in the same direction. From Tim Hunter, I learned that you back your staff. You don't ever, if you go into a meeting and someone says, Kylie just told us that the sky is pink. Why would she say that? And Tim will go, well, the sky is pink and I need to come back and tell you why. So, and he would come and ask to have that conversation first. So he always backed his staff and I really appreciated that. Yeah. And that's something that I've done in my career that has been hard to do sometimes. But you are smoke jumping for a reason. You are the barrier between upper management and your team. So is there a reason why that was made? Yes, sometimes it's worked out and other times I've had to fall on the sword and say, no, we were both wrong. The sky isn't black blue today, not pink. And then the third one is probably where I got the development team with Dave, which is around diplomacy, being more diplomatic and not taking things so intensely personal. And it was hard in a Māori development that sometimes, you do have to be a little bit more diplomatic in the way that you speak and the way that you answer things, and not kind of just come with a slap, bring the carrot too. So those are the three things that I've probably tried to emulate throughout my career, with those three things I picked up from those men.
Yeah, interesting. And I don't know if you've listened, but I had Kerry Walker, the CEO of Southern Discoveries, on the show last week as part of our International Women's Day series that we're doing. And she said something similar around not taking things so personally. And I think that's something that some of us realize that we do, some of us might not realize until a little bit later in life, when you're holding on to things that happened 10 or 20 years ago. Do you think that's a female problem?
It could be. It definitely could be, I think. I think we're definitely more, not emotional. I do not think we're more emotional. I've had some very emotional men in my life, but no, it's more along the lines. It's like I've been told before, you can sit there and say nothing, but you've got a whole range of subtitles rolling across your space.
Yeah.
Everyone can see what you're thinking. Yeah. It's all written right there.
All the non-verbals.
For the world to see, And I think that we probably, females will do that a little bit more because we do process things and we are expressive to a little bit more. Probably don't have as much facial hair to hide some of it behind, which I like. Maybe I should grow my hair longer so it covers my entire face so I don't have that subtitle issue. But that might
glasses in every meeting.
The big long hair. That could be a female thing, I think, but it's not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's a weakness so much either, because it makes you more empathetic, makes you approach situations more not with hesitation, but with a little bit more respect for what could happen.
Yes, and maybe a little bit of delicacy, isn't it? Because it's one of those things that I think once you've felt a certain way, you never really want somebody else to feel that way. So it does give you, I guess, a little bit more of that empathy to approach things differently to how you otherwise might.
True.
Yeah. If you could give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice about building a career in tourism, what would that be?
No opportunity is a bad opportunity. If something is being presented to you, really take the time to understand what that opportunity may present, or where it could take you, or what it might show you, I guess. And I think it's hard to sit there and think, oh gosh, I've got these two jobs, and you're weighing them up and you're having a conversation. And I had that same situation at the end of my graduateship with Tourism New Zealand. I've been offered a role somewhere else, and having a chat to George Hipton, and his advice to me was, where do you want to be, in 5 kind of 10 years time? He said, you need to think about the opportunity cost of both of those opportunities, and can they get you to where you want to be in 5 kind of 10 years time. So, and that was an opportunity for me to say no to a role that was paying more, but yes to the opportunity for the long term. So I think, make the most of every opportunity that comes your way. And if nothing else, it gives you the ability to kind of assess where you are, where you want to be, and then take the time in the moment to work out what pathway you need to follow to get to where you want to get to. So, that's probably what I tell myself.
Nice. Yeah. And what about the next generation of leaders in tourism? What skills or qualities do you believe are essential for them?
I think some of them, not all, some of them I think are at youth today are more equipped than we were. I really do. I've done DMPs in places around the world where I've spoken to youth because they have a different insight, a different view in terms of what they want for their destination. And you ask them, what do you want in the future? And suddenly you're getting answers like, I want more understanding around recycling, reusing, what consumerism. You're thinking, wow, okay, so not a car. And then the next answer is, and I say, well, okay, what would the second thing be? And then the second thing, this one girl in particular, she goes, I want tolerance. I want people to be more tolerant about neurodiversity. I want people to be more tolerant about sexual preferences. I want people to be more tolerant. I'm like, totally blew me away. So I think some of them are way more equipped than we were, have more insights. And I think it's the evolution our world has taken over the last 20, 30 years that has given them more insight in terms of what the repercussions are going to be, So I think some of them aren't, but then neither are people in our generation more equipped to be leaders. But I think it's being open to those things, being open to being more tolerant, being open to being more empathetic, and to be open to change too.
Yeah.
Don't be change averse, If things, just because it worked in the past doesn't mean it's going to work today.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, no, good advice. Now, we had the Powrsuit girls on the show last week and Alex from Grow Tourism promoting the new Women in Tourism Career Accelerator. And you deliver a masterclass on the art of self-leadership as part of that. Why do you think you were chosen to deliver that topic?
I have no idea. No. Possibly because I haven't had the traditional kind of career path in tourism. I have kind of forged my own path. I was lucky enough to work with Tourism New Zealand when I finished the graduateship to design a role that I wanted to do, because there wasn't a role to go into, but there was a need for what I wanted to do. So I was able to negotiate to have that role full. And then, yeah, everything just seemed to, like I said before, everything fell into place like dominoes in terms of creating this career pathway that has enabled me to go in and assist governance groups, to go in and help chair boards, to be able to go in and help destinations and businesses to really derive the benefits that you're looking for, that are going to create opportunities for youth within communities and things like that. So potentially that was it. I had met a young girl who worked for Grow Tourism, Amanda, at another presentation that we were doing here in Dunedin. And she said, you'd be really good because you do speak with passion. It's hard not to speak about something you're so passionate about with passion.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that. So that's probably what it is. And I think, everyone has a certain leadership style or an art to the way that they lead, but not everyone is a master at it. I've had some real bad managers. And I've had some really good ones, but I know not what to do as well.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes you need those bad managers to kind of just give you a reminder, hey, of the not to do list.
Correct. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, don't be that guy or girl.
Exactly.
Now, without giving too much away, because we obviously want people to sign up to the Women in Tourism Career Accelerator, what are some of the practical tips that you share in your masterclass for identifying strengths and creating your own opportunities?
I think what was really beneficial about being part of that program was just the process itself. So with Amanda sitting there asking the questions and then just allowing you to kind of just verbally go through those situations and talk about those memories, which then triggered actually I did learn from that situation, because I was able to be adaptable or provide a little bit of insight or be able to stand up for myself, give myself my own voice, and not have someone else tell me what my voice is. And that's probably something now that I've said that resonates. I think I said it in the video as well, but I think it's the opportunity to get those real life situations from someone who's lived them, so you either don't fall into that pitfall, or you have the ability to learn from where someone's come from, that you can then kind of evolve or adapt into your own leadership style, which I think is really, really important.
Yeah, good. And what advice would you give to women in tourism who want to step into leadership roles but maybe a little bit hesitant to do so?
I think it's where I was going with the answer to the last question, is to find your voice. Don't let no one tell you what your voice is, what your culture is, or what your role is in your world.
Yeah.
And be confident in your own abilities, because if we sit around and wait for someone else to tell us that we're a good leader, or to tell us we've got a good skill in this, you're a great facilitator. I'm a good facilitator because I know what I'm doing and I'm not sure I'm prepared, so thank you for telling me that. But those things are really lovely to hear, but know that for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't, figure out, is that a strength or not? If you don't know that about yourself, then potentially it's not a strength. If you need it to be a strength in your job, then go and strengthen that piece. If it's not, then look at what you actually are there to do and what your role is in that space. But just don't let anybody tell you what that could be.
Yeah, no, I love that. And what are your main priorities for TRC Tourism over the next few years?
Just to grow the business, and not so much grow it to more staff or bigger projects or this, that, and the other. I would be keen to see what we can do with other markets, because the way our approach is very much built around community, and it's very much built around deriving as much social, cultural environmental and economic benefit into those communities. And I deliberately use economic last because for so long within our industry, it was always first. And when you're monolithic and you're focused and you're just looking at the economic, everything else crumbles and you get some really detrimental effects. So I think that's an approach that I've seen. I was in Canada last year, I was in Japan in January, and people are really, it's resonating with them. They're starting to feel a little bit more of a connection to those kind of values, to then say, okay, so we can unlock the economic potential, sure, but we're going to do that with a real strong focus on the social, cultural, and environmental. And then how do we get those four things to rise as a tide? So that's what mine and my business partner Janet's focus will be, is to grow that perception of what we do and get people to, I guess, ask themselves what they're doing in this space, and if we can help, we can. And like I said, I didn't know I was going to Tonga until yesterday. Going over to help them there. But that's kind of the beauty of what we do.
Yeah. Got a bag packed all the time, ready to go.
No, I didn't. I was still packing. That's a really good idea, Michelle. I'm going to write that down. A go bag.
Yeah, exactly. Are there any emerging trends in tourism or recreation conservation that you're really excited about?
Trails are always growing in strength, if nothing else. Something positive that came out of COVID is that we wanted to reconnect with our nature. We wanted to get back out in nature and enjoy the environment, get that fresh air, hear the stories, walk the land, all of those sorts of things. And I think people are still wanting to do that. I mean, while I was in Japan, it was to launch a 10,000 kilometre trail that they're proposing. And then,
so this is a worldwide trend, is it? The trail?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And there's, there's so much work that's being done in that space. Plus, culturally, people are wanting to engage more with the Indigenous communities around the world and understand how they view the world. And I think that's really beautiful. Destinations are taking more of an ownership around how do we ensure that we have got that really strong social, cultural, environmental base as we grow our economics, which again is really positive. I think, I've worked on quite a few DMPs here in New Zealand that have really embraced that stewardship approach. We didn't necessarily give it that name, but it absolutely is. So I think there's lots of trends that are growing and are really strong and positive. We're seeing growth in the Pacific, not just because people are wanting the sun, sand, sea, surf kind of aspect, but they are wanting to engage with the people and understand the differences between those elements. And what does that create? So, it's not about recreating the same experience. I want to know the people. I want to hear the language. I want to eat the food. So there's trends everywhere.
Yeah. I really love the way that Tourism Fiji's gone with their marketing recently, just really focusing on that, the happy people, the smiles, and just connecting more with the people rather than beaches and golf and all the other reasons that you'd go to Fiji. But it really connects and resonates really nicely when you see it.
So, really does. And there's some really good projects coming out through Fiji in terms of what they're trying to do. So they're not just aligning the marketing, but they're building that kind of livability aspect at the same time. Looking at their infrastructure, looking at how do we combat eventual climate change and sea level change? How do we do all of these things in a small little island country? And they're literally bidding above their weight to get some of this stuff done, which is really impressive to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. And as you touched on there, it does need to go deeper than just marketing. I mean, that's the bit that we see, but if you turn up and that's not being delivered authentically on the ground, then your marketing message falls over, as we all know. So how do you see the role of women in tourism evolving over the coming years, and what part do you hope to play in that evolution?
You don't hit software, do you? I think women can play whatever role they want to play in any industry around the world. I would like to see more ownership, more Māori women in general, more communities owning their own businesses, owning their own destinies, and actually delivering the type of tourism that really resonates for us as women. The role that I want to play is to help facilitate that to happen, to put the feasibilities in place, business cases in place, to build destination management plans with a stewardship framework that allows that to take place. And to work with Indigenous communities for them to understand that tourism is not something that has to be done to them, but it's something that they can get involved with that can help them to evolve what they want to do. So that's kind of the role of one of them.
Nice. And finally, what's the legacy that you hope to leave behind in the tourism industry?
Am I going somewhere?
No, you're not. I was going to say you do have many, many, many years ahead of you, but
I don't know. I'm quickly approaching 50. I think the legacy I'd like for people is to just, when they think about me, like I'm writing my obituary, but it's more along the lines of I am passionate about what we do because there's a reason to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's Aotearoa, New Zealand, or it's Australia, or it's Fiji, or the places we come from, our people and our places are what make us who we are. And it's the stories that connect the two that help us to build an industry that people can engage with. And I think that's the legacy I want. You know, she was a good storyteller. She knew a lot and she was able to communicate it in a way that people could understand and resonate with. And, you know, and along the way, she taught us a couple of things, I guess. I don't know. What's my legacy? Maybe that I just can eat a lot of chocolate and drink a lot of water.
Oh, nice. Well, look, Kylie, it's been awesome chatting to you today. I've really enjoyed it and hearing a little bit about your career journey and story. And thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for joining us from the Koru Lounge. There might have been a little bit of clinking of knives and forks at the start of the episode. Kylie wasn't eating her breakfast.
No,
it was other people in the Koru Lounge. But yeah, I know you're really busy and obviously off to Tonga. And all the best with that trip. And thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Michelle. And I will say, look, thank you also. I know that you've been doing a lot of keeping us together and networking us as an industry through COVID and everything else that you've been doing. And I have watched with interest and passion as you've put out podcasts and you've put out some stuff on LinkedIn and kept us all connected, even through Zoom links and having everyone come in with all of these spares. I remember all of that and I loved every single minute. So I take my hat off and thank you for that. And anyone else who's doing a podcast in the future, don't sit near the coffee machine because that is probably my biggest mistake.
There's a good little tip to take away. We're full of tips on this show. Well, safe travels and we'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, take care.
Okay, ka kite.
Bye-bye.